All right, so let us go ahead and get started. So till yesterday, we saw the various connection models that we can use in terms of networking, and we saw how can we transact data from one system to another using TCP/IP or folder connectivity or database related connectivities and all. So today we will get into our main part, which is to go ahead and get started with an application called Mirth Connect, which is one of the famous integration engines in the healthcare market industry, especially in the healthcare integration space. So by the end of this session, we'll try to understand what is Mirth Connect application, where it is used, and what is the basic architecture of Mirth Connect as an integration engine. And we'll also look at few channel patterns, and we'll also see uh, how do we install Mirth Connect and what are the various components that we get when we install Mirth Connect. Okay. So Mirth Connect has been around in the healthcare industry from a very long time. It is used as an integration tool, basically a middleware, to transact data between two different applications altogether. Let's say that we have a PM application which has to send an ADT message or send an SIU message to an EHR system. And then in order for that particular transaction to happen, we use an integration engine. In general, there are many integration engines in the market like Rhapsody, and you also have Cloudleaf, CorePoint, Iguana, Ensemble. Mirth Connect is one of them. But the good part is Mirth Connect is one of the robust integration engines out there, which is used by many clients. It is used by enterprise clients as well. So as I said, it has been there in the market industry, healthcare IT industry for a very long time. In 2013, Mirth Connect has been acquired by Quality Systems, which is NextGen. And since then, it is being rebranded as NextGen Connect. Okay, but now we still see the name Mirth Connect here and there in the websites and all. We still have that name because we are habituated to call this application with that particular name. So as an integration engine, it is a open source freeware integration engine. That is how Mirth Connect stands out from the rest of the integration engines. All the integrations that I mentioned, integration engines that I mentioned just now, are chargeable. So which means the clients have to pay and purchase the license and then use that particular integration engine for their production environment. Whereas Mirth Connect, we don't need to go ahead and pay anything. You can go ahead and deploy the application as it is in the production environment, and you can go ahead and start using it. There is no charge or no licensing fee at all. That being said, Mirth Connect also has few commercial plans, which we'll talk about at the after looking at a couple of other aspects of Mirth Connect. So there are various message types that we use in healthcare industry, like HL7, V2, V3, X12, and DICOM, and other standards as well, other data standards. Mirth Connect supports all of them. It supports HL7, V2, V3, DICOM, NCPDP, delimited text, XML messages, JSON messages, CSV, CSV messages. All of these can be used as data sources for Mirth Connect, and Mirth Connect can transact these data, and it can also play with that data. When I say play, it can convert CSV data to HL7v2, HL7v2 to CSV, and you can generate an HL7v2 message right from scratch using Mirth Connect by connecting to a data source like databases, either PM database or EHR database. So as I said, it is a middleware. So it has to basically transact data from one system to another, which is the core functionality of any integration engine. In order to do that, an integration engine has to support various connection models. So till yesterday, we saw about what is folder connectivity, what is TCP/IP, and what is SFTP, FTP, and all, right? So Mirth Connect supports all of them. It supports basic TCP/IP connection, HTTP. File system is nothing but file folder to folder connectivity that we have seen yesterday. And then it also has other connectors like sending out an email to required parties, yeah, which is basically used to send out alerts. And it also has a SFTP related connection, connectivity connectors basically. And then you also have web services, databases, right? So these are the various connectors that are included within Mirth Connect. Now let us talk a little bit about enterprise extensions. I told you that Mirth Connect is an open source freeware. Now, as I said, you can deploy it in production environment and go ahead and start using it. That being said, it is also an organization, right? So there are few features which are not given out for free. So in order to use those features, you have to go ahead and pay and get an enterprise extension. And you have various plans as part of that, like silver, gold, platinum, and all. And each of them have their own costs. Um, so you can go ahead and purchase them and get these additional features that are part of these enterprise extensions. Okay. You also get dedicated support from Mirth Connect in case if you go ahead and purchase any one of these plans. So when we look at what do we get, what are these additional features that are not part of your basic freeware or free application that you download? One of the famous ones is SSL Manager. SSL Manager is a plugin that is used to go ahead and bind your services that you host on Mirth Connect with SSL certificates. So whenever you go ahead and browse your website, let's say you're browsing google.com, it says HTTPS. That is represents the secure part of the URL, which means it is bound to a SSL certificate. So when you try to go ahead and create a web service, create a channel with a web service as connector in your Mirth Connect, you have to bind it with an SSL certificate, or else that particular web service that you are creating is not secure. So in order for you to go ahead and bind that SSL certificate, you have to use SSL Manager. So this SSL Manager feature or a plugin is not given out with a free application that you download. So apparently you have to purchase any one of the plans to go ahead and get that particular SSL Manager plugin. Another famous plugin is role-based access control. So role-based access control is a feature which will help you to go ahead and control who can do what on Mirth Connect. By default, when you download the application, you don't get this feature. Everyone, whoever logs in to the Mirth Connect is an administrator. So whoever logs in can do anything they want, create channels, delete messages, or update the data that is there in the Mirth Connect application, reprocessing the messages. So there are a lot of actions or a lot of events that happens within Mirth Connect, right? So everyone can go ahead and perform all of those things or all of those tasks whenever they go ahead and log in as admin. So how do you control them? You control them with the help of role-based access control. So what happens in role-based access control is every um, you can create roles within Mirth Connect stating that this particular person with a so and so role can do only so and so tasks. For example, I want people or I want a particular user to go ahead and only view the channels and view the messages. I don't want them to go ahead and look at uh, look at the channels code, or I don't want them to look at uh, uh, or I don't want them to basically give them access to go ahead and reprocess the messages or delete the messages, something like that. Okay, I just want to restrict them for review only access. So what I'll do is I will go to this role-based access control and I will create a role and I will go ahead and select the options of only viewing various parts of the Mirth Connect. And I will assign that particular role to the user, whoever I want to go ahead and have only view only access to the application. So this feature is not present in the free application. Again, when you go for enterprise extension plan, you will get this feature. Another one is channel history, which will help you to go ahead and revert back or view what has been changed when you deploy new packages or new channels. You have other plugins as well, like cluster administrator, fire plugins, and then you have message generator plugin. Okay, so there are other plugins too, which you can make use of. And all of these plugins are the things that you'll get when you purchase enterprise extension along with a support plan. You'll have a dedicated support from Mirth Connect. How much does it cost and all? You have to individually reach out to Mirth Connect to get to know how much does it cost. They will let you know. You have to let them know your organization name and all, and they will send you the code for various plans and all. Okay, and trust me, even that those plans are not as costly as other integration engine licensing fees. It is almost 1/4 or 1/8, if I am not wrong. So that's very low cost, and still they provide all the features as part of the enterprise extension plan. The good part is, few, I mean, initially, if you had doubt that it's a freeware, there will be cases of freeware as well as it's an open source application, right? So there may be some security issues and all, but we have never seen such kind of um, aspects in past 20 years, 15, 20 years, right? So with Mirth Connect, so Mirth Connect is a very secure application. Not only that, it is a very robust application. It supports all the features. It has all the functionality that is needed for to become a to be used in enterprise clients as well. Okay. So whatever you're seeing on the right hand side is basically basic view of Mirth Connect. Whenever you log into Mirth Connect, this is how you see it. You have various channels um, showing a dashboard with list of channels and statuses, what are the number of messages received and all. So we'll take a look at it down the line. Once we log into the application, we'll talk in detail about what are the various options that we have when we log into dashboard and when we'll browse through various menu items within Mirth Connect application. So Prakash has a question. Yeah, Prakash, go ahead.
Yes, Dixon. So all these features like the enterprise edition, the plugin which you said is it's going to be the same app, or it's like going to be a separate app where we have to function like it's a manager role, like who defines all those things. So it's going to be in the same Mirth Connect application which you're showing on the dash right now on the screen, or it's going to be the separate app.
It will be part of the same application. So, but it's just that you won't see it when you download the free version of it. And once you download the free version, you can install these plugins. Once these plugins are installed, these features will automatically show up.
Okay, in the same application, you can
in the
see
same
that
application. Yes, yes.
But that will be the part of like some manager level role, or as an HL7 interface analyst, do we get these kind of responsibilities in the job role or not?
We will, as an HL7 developer, you will definitely have requirement of using these plugins and building up the channels, right?
Got
So
you.
it
Okay.
depends on the organization. If it is a small organization, they may not go ahead and prefer using of web services because that needs an SSL manager, right? So they may say that we support only TCP/IP, SFTP, or folder to folder. These are the choices that they will give because they are small organization. But huge organizations do go for enterprise extension plans because it's not that costly, uh, and they get all the plugins as part of that cost, along with dedicated support plan.
Yeah, as I was thinking, because as in a hospital, like there are big hospitals who have these kind of things, and between these communications, these
Mhm.
dashboard for the interface analyst, do they have these kind of access or not? Because this is a big company. It's not everybody can have these kind of access.
Correct.
This is
Correct.
like at the manager level access who has like detail more knowledge rather than the interface analyst.
Right. Huge organizations do go for it, and they will have you role-based access controls, and they will create various roles like who should have only view-only access, who can go ahead and manipulate the messages, who can go ahead and have complete access to the application. Especially developers will have the complete access so that they can do whatever they want to do, experimenting or creating channels or deleting messages and everything, right? So
But that will be in the testing environment, not in the production environment. Do we have the access in the production too? No.
yes, I mean, for developers, it is the choice of the organization again. If they want
Yes.
to
Okay.
restrict access to the developers only in development environment, and if they don't want to give access to the production environment, they will not give it. So it's as simple as that. We get from
Gotcha.
application level, it supports all of them. It
Okay.
will give you the flexibility of how you can configure. And
Got
the best part is, um, I'll tell you, it is so robust. The role-based access control in Mirth Connect is so robust. You can also choose individual channels and say that this particular role can view only these particular channels. If you have 150 channels, and if you want that particular role to view only 10 channels, you can go ahead and select those individual 10 channels and assign to that role. Whoever has that role can view only those channels. They won't even know what are the rest of the channels that are there in the Mirth Connect.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. So
That's a good way to
how,
like share the
yeah,
responsibility. Yes, that's
right.
good.
That's how good that particular plugin is. So
Right.
obviously, as it's that good, it is not part of the free version of the application.
Got it. Okay.
All right. So that's the basic about Mirth Connect. It's a little introduction about Mirth Connect as an application. Now let's jump into the uh, Mirth Connect administrators
So Dixon, I had a question
architecture.
there.
Yeah,
Uh, so we hear of Rhapsody also, right? That's one other which is quite
right. Correct.
usual to hear.
Hmm.
And then Mirth Connect, when it comes to cost, when it is like not that expensive as Rhapsody, like you said, like because this is amongst the ones available on market, this is the cheapest of the lot,
Right.
but it works equally good.
Correct.
So why is it that they go for the others? Like, what is the advantage or disadvantage of using Mirth Connect versus, like, let's say a Rhapsody, if we just want to take another competitor?
One of the reasons is as the application code is open source, people prefer that under other applications. That's one of the main reasons what I see, um, because they feel that if the code is open source, the application might be vulnerable or something like that. So that's one of the reasons um, why people choose to go ahead and use other integration engines like Rhapsody or Cloverleaf and all. And other things are like
But Since you have
user
worked
base,
on it, you didn't
developer
see
base.
any breaching, right? Security breach
Never,
anywhere.
never. It doesn't depend on the applications, whether application is open source or not. It purely depends on the security networking, security of their
So buying
network.
the plugins will be important. Like you said, the SSL manager,
Yes, yes. SSL man.
that
If
will
you are
make it
using
secure.
web services, right? If you are using web services, then yes, 100% you have to have a SSL plugin, and secure your web services by binding it to a SSL
So if you're
manager.
not
But apart,
using web services, how else will you make, like if you're using TCP/IP or other
Mhm,
ways or folder to folder, how do you
mhm.
make that secure when it's an open source? Is it
When
still secure?
it is because that's what I was about to say. It depends on the network setup that you have as an organization. When your network is secured, you by through your port
Okay.
numbers, firewalls, you don't
Okay.
open the port
The
numbers
other
just like
way.
that to
Okay.
everyone, and you secure your network, right? And application is residing within your network. So when
Okay.
the application is within your network, you're automatically secure.
So your
When
firewalls will take care of this as well.
right, exactly. Firewalls, rules, and all. And if you're opening certain network for Mirth application, you will do that through VPN itself if it is TCP/IP related connectivity. So without VPN, you won't allow the connection. That's what we saw yesterday when we were talking about TCP/IP, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So with TCP/IP, you have that security, but vulnerability may come into play if you are exposing a REST service or a web service without binding it to SSL certificate. So for that part, if you are using SSL, then you have to, if you're using web service, then you have to have SSL manager for security.
But are there any additional plugins or anything that Rhapsody has which gives it a upper hand to Mirth Connect, or Mirth Connect has been equally user friendly?
I worked on Rhapsody. I worked on Mirth Connect. Each application will have its own advantages and disadvantages, right?
Right.
I mean, it's a choice
Now, just from
from
your
my
work
perspective.
experience.
Yeah, from my perspective, I felt Mirth Connect to be a little easier to understand and implement. Reason being, Rhapsody, I felt it has a box in box structure. Okay, you have to add lot of components to develop a route, one single route. Like you have to add the mapper, you have to add definition files and all in order to create a route in Rhapsody. And those has to be configured individually again and then brought them onto the table and you start creating the route. Mirth Connect has a little linear structure. You just have four main tabs to configure, and navigation within Mirth Connect feels little bit easier than Rhapsody. But Rhapsody is equally a very good integration engine because you will have a very good visual structure on how messages are transacting from one component to another component, whereas that particular view of the entire map is not present in Mirth Connect.
Okay.
Okay, so those are the features that each of them stand out with, but both of them are equally good.
Okay, I just had another question,
Yeah.
very different from this.
Mhm.
So the role-based access that you said,
Mhm.
it's just out of curiosity, who exactly gets the ownership of doing that? Like, or is it like completely up to the hospitals or like whoever is having this Mirth Connect?
There will be one administrator, so there will be administrator role as well, which will be
Okay.
created within role-based access
Yeah, I
plugin
wanted to ask if
access
there's an
control.
admin, but I never
Yes,
heard about admin so far.
yeah,
So okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Administrator will be there,
just like any other app. Okay.
right? Administrators can go ahead and whoever has that administrator role, they can go ahead and do everything, create
Okay.
roles,
It's just like
and
any other software. Okay.
right, correct.
Yeah. Thanks, Nixon.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, let's proceed. So let's go ahead and take a look at Mirth Connect Administrator basic architecture. So when you're creating one interface within Mirth Connect, you refer to it as channel. Various integration engines give various names. Mirth Connect is calling them as channel. In Rhapsody, you call them as route. In Ensemble, you call them as production. Apparently, we are referring to one interface which is going to connect you from one source system to one destination system, or from one source system to multiple destination systems. Okay. So whenever you are creating that interface, you will get four main components within Mirth Connect. One single channel will have the four main components that you're seeing on the screen. First one is source connector, which is to receive inbound data. Then you will have filters, which will help you to um, manage the message flow and routing. And then you'll have transformers, which is to go ahead and deal with the data that you have received. So when you receive some data like HL7v2 messages, how do you extract the data from it? How do you manipulate the data in case if required? Or how do you interpret the data and write them to the database or reformat the data, and all can be done in the transformer. Next, you have destination connector, which will help you to connect to the destination side of the interface and deliver the messages to the destination. Okay, so these are the main four components which we will see in a channel, and when the message is received on the source, it will be delivered to the destination through this flow. Okay, source, filters, transformers, and destinations. That's the flow that or the path that every message takes when it is passing through the channel. Okay, here I mentioned that destination connector has one or more destination connectors within Mirth Connect channel, which means you can receive the data on one single source and you can deliver the data to multiple destinations if required. I'll give you one simple example. Let's say that we have a lab which has to deliver the results to multiple EHR systems. Okay, all the EHR sending the orders information to the lab. Lab has to send back all the results. So what lab will do is they will create one interface to go ahead and keep sending all the results as and when they are generating, and those results has to be delivered to individual EHRs, and these individual EHRs will go ahead and are connected to Mirth Connect on the destination side through multiple connections. So that is where you create multiple destination connectors, and each destination connector will be connected to one EHR. Messages will be delivered to each one of them. How they will be delivered to only certain EHR and all, that we will see in the upcoming slides. So we have a concept of routing which we can use to go ahead and make sure that messages are delivered to only certain destinations. But right now, all that we can see is you can have multiple destinations on the configured on the destination side. Okay, let's zoom a little bit into the channels architecture and see how that is designed. Okay, here we understood that we will have four components: source, filters, transformers, and destinations. So the way we are going to look at it is we will be zooming in little by little into the channels architecture to understand how the messages are flowing. The most essential part as an integration developer is you have to know the path of how the message is getting picked up till the point the message is getting delivered to the destination. It's like a water flow, right? Water flow begins at one point and it reaches another point through a pipeline that we have, right? In the same way, when a message has to be delivered from system A to system B, there is a certain pathway it takes. So we have to understand that path very clearly. Once you know the path very clearly, then it will be very easy for us to troubleshoot the things down the line to figure out where exactly the halt is in case if something is not working. Um, so the way we are going to take a look at is to understand that pathway in a detailed manner as and when we proceed through the Mirth Connect channel. So as part of that, let's zoom in a little bit into the channel's architecture and see how the channel is designed. So if you look at the channel, you have two main components: the source component part and the destination component part. Both of them have their own functionalities, and they deal or operate separately, but they are always bound together with each other. Okay, so whatever enters the source will eventually enter the destination. Okay, so when the message is entering the source connector, source has its own set of filters and transformers. And after completing source, message will enter into the destination component of it, and destinations will have its own filters and transformers. Okay, and if you have multiple destinations, let's say you have, this is one destination that we are seeing here, right? And if you have multiple destinations, you will have multiple destinations, and each destination will have its own set of filters and transformers. Okay, and when you are dealing with the messages in filters and transformers, apparently you'll be using three technologies. One is JavaScripting, another one is E4X, another one is XML. So these are the three main technologies that we'll be using to manipulate the data or extract data, reformatting, and all of these things. Okay, so as and when we proceed, we will zoom in a little bit more down the line and take a look at how the messages are flowing, what type of conversions are happening internally when the messages are flowing through these components. Okay, we will see that in the future. Next, we will take a look at various types of.
I had another question there.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if it is like the system is within the hospital, the PM and EHR, do we still need filters and transformers on both sides, or like if it's folder to folder?
Transformers are required. So it depends on the type of interface that you're planning to develop. If you have a PM application, if you have an EHR application, and two different applications, right? So if you have to develop an interface between them, then you have to develop it from scratch, which is to go ahead and grab the data from PM database, generate an HL7 message, send it to the EHR side. On the EHR side, you have to have your messages interpreted and then written to the EHR database. Okay. But if your applications are generating the HL7 messages already, which may be a scenario. For example, we have an application called as MyWay, or right now I think it's called as Aprilia. So that application generates the HL7 messages by itself. I mean, it is integrated within the application, but it drops those HL7 messages to certain folder, for example. Then you have to configure your Mirth Connect integration engine to pick up those HL7 messages, send it to the EHR. So it purely depends on the design or the architecture that you are going to have. And it also depends on the application that you're dealing with. What are the capabilities of certain application and all.
But most of the times you're saying it's probably needed.
It is always needed. In most of the cases, it is needed. An integration engine in general is needed. It is choice of the hospital what integration engine they want to use.
No, not integration engine. I'm saying the filters and transformers on both sides. Like I know the connectors are there, but the filter, like the validation, when you know it's within your own it's your own PM and EHR system. So do the filters? I don't know. Like I
not
don't
needed.
see
Not needed. So it you have that particular functionality, but if you don't want to use, as you know that it is within your scope of applications, then you can go ahead and skip using of that particular filter.
Okay, so these are not a must, but these are generally the way it happens.
Right. This is the way the application works. Whether you want to use it or you don't want to use it, that's up to the developer.
Okay.
All right. So next, let us take a look at what are the various channel patterns that we have. So as I said, Mirth Connect supports various types of connectors and various types of designs while creating channels. So let's take a look at them. So first one is integration model. This is pretty straightforward implementation. You will have one source, one destination, and You will receive the data on the source side, pass it through filters and transformers in case if you want to design anything, and then finally deliver the message to the destination. This destination will go ahead and write the data to the database. I just gave the database as a sample. I didn't mean that that is the only option that we have. It may be a TCP IP destination, it may be a web service destination, or anything. Okay. Next, you have broadcasts. So broadcast is a model where you will have one source and multiple destinations. And you want the same message to be delivered to all the destinations that are there. Let's take an example. Let's say that we have one centralized PM system and there are clinics all over the city. Let's say there are 10 different clinics all over the city, and each clinic has their own individual EHR application. Okay. However, PM is centralized. PM is located centrally, and all the centers are creating patients in the PM system, and it is a centralized repository. Now, as soon as the patient is created, they want to have that patient sent to all the different centers, all the clinics present in the city. So what do they do? On the PM side, as PM is generic, patient is created. As soon as patient is created, patient data will be sent to the source. It will pass through source filters, source transformers, and it will be sent to all the destinations that that are created within Mirth Connect channel. Okay, and each destination will deliver the message to each of their clinic. Okay, one more important point here is whenever Mirth Connect is transacting a message, after completing source, it will enter into destination, right? So after completing the source transformer, the basic default functionality of Mirth Connect is to duplicate the message to all the destinations that are present. Okay, if you have 10 destinations, the same message gets duplicated to all the 10 destinations. An image of each of the message or replica of each of the message will be sent to all the destinations, and the same will be delivered by the destination to each of those based on each of those destination configurations. One more important thing is these destinations are individual. They are not dependent of each other. You can make them dependent by checking whether certain messages get delivered to uh, one destination, and then only if you want the message to be delivered to the next destination, you can go ahead and do that. But functionality wise, every destination has its own filters and transformers. If you want to configure them, you can configure them individually. Okay, which we will see next in the router section. But here the default functionality of is replicating the message to all the destinations that are present. Each destination can be configured to various connection types. Let's say one is using a database, another one is using TCP IP, another one is using web service. They are not dependent of at that level too. You can configure whatever you want to configure it. Okay. So next type of interface is router. So in router model, what you're seeing on the screen right now, I did not present source transformers and source filters. So just assume that those are present within this particular icon. Okay, we are taking a look at what happens after completing source and source transformer, source filters and source transformers. How do we route the message to different destinations? So we'll take another use case scenario, which I spoke about at the beginning of the today's session. We have a lab which has to deliver results to multiple EHR systems, right? But lab also has to ensure that it is delivering the results pertaining to EHR1 to EHR1 application only. And results belonging to EHR2 should be delivered to EHR2 only. It should make sure that that particular routing is taken care, and that will be taken care in the Mirth Connect channel. Okay, how do we do that? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So for that purpose, we use the filter functionality. So what is the default functionality of Mirth Connect? Whenever it receives any message, after completing the source transformer, it will duplicate the message and send the same message to all the destinations that are available. Right? Destination 1, destination 2, destination 3. So let us suppose that we have received a result which belongs to EHR1. So let us assume that this is EHR1, this is EHR2, and this is EHR3. Right? Let us suppose that we have received a message belonging to EHR1, but the same EHR1 message will be duplicated to all the destinations by default. So what you do in the filter section is you will see whether this message belongs to EHR1 or not. How do you determine that? There will be a flag in the HL7 message. It could be either MSH3 or MSH5, which will tell you whether the message belongs to EHR1 or EHR2 or EHR3. Okay, basically MSH5 is a receiving application, right? So in MSH5, let us suppose that it says EHR1. So in filters, what do we write is, we will write a logic which says, if MSH5 is EHR1, then only allow the message to process further. If it is not, then block it or filter it then and there itself. Okay, we'll write the similar logic on destination 2, stating if MSH5 is EHR2, then process further or else block it. And on the third destination as well, you write the filter stating if it belongs to EHR3, then process or else fail or else filter. Okay, those logics being in place, what happens is when you receive the message, even if the message duplicates through all the three destinations, they will get filtered at the filter level itself and they won't process further. Okay, with that, we can ensure, basically the lab can ensure that messages pertaining to EHR1 are delivered only to EHR1 and messages pertaining to EHR2 will be delivered only to EHR2. Other messages are filtered at that level itself. Okay, that is how you can configure the routing aspect of messages when you have multiple destinations and all. So this was the default functionality when Mirth Connect was introduced. Later, we had some additional functionalities introduced into the source transformer itself, where you can take care of this routing in little bit smarter way. I don't want to confuse you guys by showing that right now. Once we look into the Mirth Connect architecture and understand how do you write transformation codes and all, I'll quickly show you how that particular feature is used. Okay, but for now we'll stick to the basic architecture on how these are handled at filter level on the destination side. Okay, the last model that we have is chaining model. So as the name itself suggests, we are going to form chain by connecting two channels. So let's see how that is done. So in chaining model, you will have a plain channel, and let's say that you have two destinations on the channel. Okay, one destination is writing the data to database. Another destination can go ahead and write the data to another channel which is present within the same Mirth Connect instance or same Mirth Connect server. Okay, it will write the data to the another channel's source side, and the messages will be sent to that particular secondary channel, and that channel may be designed to perform entirely different functionality. Let's take one example. Let's say that we are receiving lab results on the source side, and we want to write that lab results to the database. At the same time, we also want to generate a PDF file based on the results that we are receiving. Okay, so what you can do is you can write one destination to the database so that data is inserted into the database EHR application, and the secondary destination, which will receive the HL7 message, can be written or can be sent to another channel which has the code to go ahead and generate a PDF file from that HL7 message. Okay, and finally it will generate a PDF file and it will write the PDF file to certain folder, and that particular folder will have all the PDF files for the patient results. Okay, in that way you can form a chain of channels. If you want to connect multiple channels, you can do that as well. There is no restriction that you have to you can connect only 3 channels or 4 channels, something like that. You can interconnect as many number of channels as you want. Okay, so these are the various channel patterns that you may see in your real-time developments or implementations. Who would design this? If you're a developer, you can go ahead and suggest, but architect is the one who will go ahead and design what type of pattern we have to create. So using these combinations, you can create many different types of patterns based on the need, based on the requirement that you have within your uh, environment, wherever you're working. Okay, so
Hey, Dixon, I have another
yeah,
question.
please.
It's purely based on the diagram.
Mhm.
So in the
Yeah.
first two, I know like you said in the when you were saying the router that you haven't mentioned the source filter and transformer, but it's there. So
Mhm.
similarly in the first two, do we have destination filter and transformer that works similar to the router? Like can they also filter out and
Yes.
just use a certain like so what would be the difference between the two, the broadcast and router then?
In broadcast, you are not using the filters at all.
Or you're not using filter.
Yes.
So they'll all receive without filtering, like they'll all
Correct.
receive the same message in the destination.
Yes. That's
Okay,
the
so that's just
requirement,
a
right?
different. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Or this is how you can plan it. It's not okay. Okay,
Correct.
I
Exactly.
get it. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from anyone? All right. So in future sessions, we are going to take a look at how the messages are routed, how XML conversions happen, and all. So this is the diagram showing message flow. So we will look at this in the future sessions. But if you have any other questions with respect to Mirth Connect channels, let me know. We'll go ahead and take a look at that, or else we'll jump to the next topic. Any other questions you guys have?
No,
Vinay
we are
here,
good.
Dixon.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Dixon, in case like if you have multiple destination and writing in database,
Uh-huh.
so what about regarding the acknowledgement, like any ACK response, can we filter out and send that ACK back to that specific uh, source, like lab, if the lab want to receive a to get the ACK
Mm-hmm.
from the PM system, for example.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can go ahead and send that. Once the writing of data to the database is successful, you will get a response, right? You will get a flag whether it's successfully written to the database or not. So when you perform a database call, you will get to know that. And if it is successful, you can generate an acknowledgement using HL7 Act Generator class that we have within Mirth Connect,
Okay.
and send out an acknowledgement back
Okay.
to the
So we
source
can
system.
filter out as well, right? That uh, that ACK should go back to that specific channel.
You can send it to basically acts are sent back to the same source system wherever we receive the message from. And you can configure within Mirth Connect integration engine if you want to create your own acknowledgement and send it back to the same source system. Or else you can go ahead and create your, or else you can go ahead and have Mirth Connect send an acknowledgement by because it has the capability of generating that acknowledgement by default. So you can configure that as well.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Six.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions from anyone? All right.
Dixon, I
So
have something but not related to today's session. So maybe towards the end, I'll just ask you this.
sure, sure. So next, what we'll do is we will go ahead and start installing Mirth Connect. So you can go ahead and open, just type it in Google, like Mirth Connect download. One second. So whoever hasn't installed it yet, you can just go ahead to this particular website. So you have all the versions, Windows, Linux, and Mac. Just download the installer version of it. Don't download the zip version of it. Use the installer and go ahead and install it. And once you install, you'll basically get three components. Number one is Mirth Connect application, basically Mirth Connect administrator window. Then you will also have Mirth Connect server, using which you can manage your Mirth Connect, whether it has to run or it has to stop, and all. And the third component that you will get is Mirth Connect administrator launcher, which is used to launch your Mirth Connect administrator application altogether. So these are the three components that you will get. We'll take a look at them tomorrow in detail and see what you can do with each one of these components. But Mirth Connect Administrator is the main application where you go ahead and work as a developer to go ahead and create channels or develop interfaces and all. Okay, we'll take a look at them in detail from tomorrow's session.
Excuse me, Dixon.
Yes.
So I think you sent us, several files that include Mirth Connect as well, right? In the past, on Google Drive. I think you said
messages, HL7 messages. Is that what you
no,
meant?
no. Mirth Connect, the application. I think you sent it in Google Drive the second week. Is that correct? Mirth Connect.
Sent what? I'm sorry. About the PPTs?
No. So when we first started, you sent us several files.
Right.
In Google Drive. So I remember seeing Mirth Connect. So therefore you had sent it to us already, correct?
Okay. The setup file. All right.
Right.
I didn't get that. I'm sorry. Yeah, setup file. I think I have included older versions of it.
Right.
But it's better
I've
to go ahead and
installed
yeah, it may have an older version of it. I created that zip file long back. So if you want to go ahead and get the latest, you can just go to this website and download it from there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. So I'm not hearing anything. So let's go ahead and conclude today's session here. So Prakash, you have a question?
Yes, I'm trying to install it, and it's there. Our installer is asking me to locate the suitable 32-bit JRE.
Right. That's good part. So Java is prerequisite. So you have to go ahead and install Java. You can download Java and then proceed with your Mirth Connect installation.
And do we need to show them a location where the Java is installed?
No, once you install it, will pick it up automatically. Right now, it's not seeing Java in your system. That's the reason it's asking you to locate it manually.
Okay, any like Java version we need to download?
Java
or
8,
the latest?
8 and above. 8
and above is fine.
8
okay.
to 11. 8 to 11.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Yep. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. You all have a very good day. I will catch up tomorrow and continue looking at Mirth Connect. We'll have a solid application workflow to understand all the options that we have from application perspective. And then we'll start creating our channels one by one for each connection model that we have discussed yesterday. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. You all have a good day. Sapna, you can stay back. Rest can drop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.